So this video is all about the F2100. I'm going to show you how to do everything just right so you get good prints every time. Are you sick of printing sweet wolf shirts that look banded and faded, just ugly and not bright? Well, we're going to fix that. Hit me, Corey. This is what I'm talking about. Nice, vibrant shirt, bright white, plenty of good colors in here. And I can get this every single time, and I'm going to show you how. It does look kind of ridiculous though with this collar. Oh, that's better. So we're going to focus on the three things that are required to get a good quality print every time, where you get nice, vibrant, bright whites and bright colors. First thing is we need a good quality shirt, like Cotton Heritage and Spectra. Second, we've got to make sure we've pre-treated properly. Now that is good coverage. And third, you have to have a good nozzle check.
Excuse me?
So let's get started. I think I missed it. So why don't you come over here, Josh, and let's take a look at this nozzle check. There he is. So notice our whites are in good shape. We see a few nozzles out here and there. That's no big deal. That's totally normal. On our colors, notice our colors are nice and filled in. There's one nozzle out here on the black, but that's no big deal at all either. So if your nozzles are in good shape, you're ready to print. When I come in the morning, first thing I do is a nozzle check just to make sure my nozzles are in good shape. If I need to, after my nozzle check, if I notice that some colors out or some whites are out, I'll then do a head cleaning. So in this case, let's say our whites were out, I would select the white nozzles that I need to do. Typically, I execute just a light head cleaning. That should be sufficient. You don't have to do a lot of head cleanings if your printer is on once or twice a week. You shouldn't likely have to do any head cleanings at all. When you turn your printer off every day when you're done using it. That'll initiate the cleaning cycle that will then clean your head cap. And that's critical to making sure your printer stays in good shape. There's more maintenance on there's more videos on how to do maintenance on this printer. I want you to go to the link that's down below. I've made a ton of videos.
There are also more videos at Epson's website if you follow the QR code sticker on your machine.
That's going to be where you need to know how to do all the maintenance for your unit. But essentially, make sure you have a good nozzle check, and that will be one part in guaranteeing that you have good prints. So step number 2 is to pre-treat properly. And as you know, it can be challenging. Maybe you've heard, maybe you've seen it. I'm going to show you how to do it right, though. It's not that complicated, and I'll show you how to fix some of the problems that you might be experiencing. I break it down. I really only use 2 types of pre-treat. I use the Epson pre-treat, or I use the universal pre-treat from EcoFrame. I'll also use this spray-on pre-treat for small areas like left chest and stuff, or baby garments, small garments. This works really, really well. So the trick with pre-treat is you'll find that you might have inconsistent spray. You might have banding on one side or the other of your shirt. You might even see a lot of staining on your garments. So I'm going to address all of those things and fix them for you right now. It's pretty simple. The trick with the Mr. T1 or any pre-treat machine really is to make sure that you keep it really clean. Don't ever give it a chance to clog up. What happens is pre-treat is kind of like, it's not, but it's kind of like liquefied Elmer's glue. So if you let it sit in the lines for too long, it's going to clog the lines, it's going to clog the pump, it's going to clog the nozzle. So the trick is, as soon as you're done pre-treating, run cleaning solution through it. I use Simple Green and distilled water, and it works perfect. So I use maybe just like a tablespoon or a teaspoon of Simple Green to maybe a half of one of these. So, or maybe like a half a cup, actually, more like a half a cup of Simple Green to one of these. And that usually does a really good job at keeping it clean. So get yourself some Simple Green, run it through the system when you're not using it. That way, once you're done pre-treating, you're going to clean that pre-treat solution out. It won't have a chance to clog up, and you won't get that banding. If you wait and let that pre-treat solution sit in the lines too long, it's just going to clog up. So that's a problem. Let's try to avoid that by keeping your machine clean. I have a link in the description down below that tells you all, that has a video on how to keep your pre-treat machine clean. Watch that link. It's really easy. If you can do that, you shouldn't run into problems with banding. You should have consistent spray. An example is I use this machine maybe once or twice a week. And every time that I turn it on, it sprays perfect. And that's because I clean it beautifully when I'm done. That's the solution with pre-treat machine. Keep it clean. Don't ever let the pre-treat solution sit in the lines for too long. It's just going to clog up. It doesn't matter what machine you use. All right, so that's spray pattern. That can be a problem. The other big problem that a lot of people have is shirts that show staining. So see if you can bring that camera down here, buddy, and see that staining. All right, so you notice that box in the middle of this shirt. That's a problem that a lot of people have, and it's understandable problem. This shirt is 60% cotton, 40% polyester. So this is a blend, and it's a heather. These are probably the most challenging shirts to keep from staining. Let's look at another example. This is a light pink shirt, a lot of light colors, light blues, light greens, reds. A lot of people will see staining on those. This may not be the one, buddy. Oh yeah, here it is. So notice the staining in the left here. This was 50-50 sprayed at a round trip 5. So it was sprayed really fast on the Mr. T1, but I sprayed it twice, there and back, okay? That's too much pre-treat on there. So what I did is I reduced it to 60-40, and I did it single pass level 5. And notice there is no staining.
What's a staining?
None at all. But notice the color vibrancy has not shifted at all. We still have beautiful colors. In fact, it looks as good on one as it does the other. So the takeaway from pre-treat: if you see staining, reduce concentrate. Speed up the spray a little bit. The other trick with that is sometimes you might need to dry that pre-treated shirt, then hit it again with a quick spray. That is another solution that works pretty well. I don't think it's necessary all the time, but it certainly can help. But you can get this if you follow those steps. Reduce concentrate, speed it up a little bit. Make sure your pre-treat machine is nice and clean, and you'll have good spray. A couple of best practices before you pre-treat are to clean your shirt before you pre-treat. So if you find that there's fibers or there's things stuck to your shirt, in this case I think we had a spider web on there, fabric roller is going to help resolve that. So we want to give our shirt, our print, the best chance to have a good print result. So that way we want to clean our shirt well first. When I load my shirts, I try to think of it like I'm loading it on my platen of my printer, because I want it to be square here like it is on my printer. So I'm going to put it right down the middle. I'm going to make sure the seams and everything are equal on either side so I get a nice square print. And from here, a nice clean shirt, lint free, nice clean pre-treat machine. This should give me a great result. Notice how there's no striping or banding, that the print or the spray is even from edge to edge, and we have good consistency in our pre-treat. So after I've pre-treated and I've got a good pattern, sometimes I'll take a paintbrush to it. The nice thing about a paintbrush is it'll do two things. One, it'll show you that you've covered the whole garment properly. So you would notice if anywhere in here I didn't have any coverage, because it wouldn't be wet. And secondly, it helps really lay that pre-treat down into the garment a little bit. So using a paintbrush is not a bad tip for getting a little bit better coverage on your garment. So again, step 2, make sure you have good coverage and you've pre-treated properly. Can you notice that? How we have good coverage edge to edge on that print? And there's no banding or striping, which is good. From here, I can put it on my heat press. I can put it on my conveyor dryer. I can fold it. I can throw it in a corner and let this sit. Pre-treat just needs to be 100% dry before you print. So personally, when we go to trade shows, I will just fold the shirt over like this. I will fold it in half and I'll stick it in a box, and we'll let this just sit in the trade show box for weeks. Often, if we're going to go right to print with it, we'll open it up, put it on our heat press, and I like to square this up as well, but there's no right or wrong amount of time here. All you want to do is make sure that your shirt is 100% dry before you take it to your printer. 100% dry is key. So you'll notice We put a little bit of pressure. It's going to steam a little bit. When this comes off, it's 100% dry. We're ready to print. Here we have two shirts that were printed and pre-treated identically. Same garment creator settings, same amount of ink, same pre-treat settings, same amount of pre-treat. The only difference is one is not very vibrant and the whites are pretty dull. The other is super vibrant and the whites are super bright. The only difference here is one was printed on that manufacturer's blank and the other was printed on that manufacturer's blank. So step 3 is use a good quality shirt. Good quality results on a good quality shirt. Let's talk about that more.
Why are you always throwing stuff at me?
Well, that's part of the creative process. Here's the reality with step 3. You have to use a good quality shirt. And there's a lot of shirts out there on the market that just don't work that great, and there's a lot that do. I'm going to bring up this slide so you can see the difference in what makes a good quality shirt compared to the others. A carded, open-ended cotton is very fibrous. And you'll note at the bottom, when you print on that, it's hard to get the lines nice and sharp and crisp. 100% combed ring spun cotton is a much tighter yarn, a much tighter weave, and it gives you a much tighter print. So when you're looking for shirts, always look for ring spun. Think about the substrate that you're printing on. If you were printing on paper and it was a rough paper, your result would not look nearly as good as if you were printing on a nice smooth sheet of paper. So it's the same concept with a t-shirt. Your shirt should be smooth and clean, and you should have a nice clean substrate. It's evident in a lot of shirts and a lot of different brands. People come to me all the time and say, John, I'm just not getting the vibrancy I'm looking for. Usually the solution is the garment. So if you notice a lot of staining in the garment, or you notice that the garment is the vibrancy just isn't that bright compared to another shirt that you have done, try to switch shirts. And so my third recommendation is always use a good quality ring spun shirt. Now, not all ring spun shirts are the same. Some are better than others. We're big advocates for Cotton Heritage, Hanes Nano, Spectra. These are some of the better ones out there. There's a number of other ones, Bella Canvas, etc. But these ones, the ones that we suggest, really are going to give you the better results more consistently. So when I talk about the 3 steps, make sure you have a good nozzle check. Make sure you've pre-treated properly, and make sure you use a good quality shirt. If you can do those 3 things consistently every single time and not throw some monkey wrench in to try to change that process, you're going to get good results consistently. I could do 2 of the things correctly for sure. I could make sure I have a good nozzle check. I could make sure I've pre-treated properly, but the variable is the shirt. So we can print on 100% cotton. We can print on blends, as you saw before. We can print on blends. You're going to see a little bit of vibrancy loss. Ideally, direct-to-garment is going to be 100% cotton print. But if you pre-treat properly, if you use the universal pre-treat and some of the other stuff, you can get a little bit better results. So keep that in mind. Those are the 3 things. Make sure you have a good nozzle check. Make sure you've pre-treated properly, and make sure you're using a good quality shirt. Oh man, look how clean, look how vibrant that is, Josh.
That sure looks good, John.
Yeah, it does, buddy. You know how I did it?
How did you do it?
Well, I had a perfect nozzle check. I pre-treated with the right ratio and the right speed, and I'm using an awesome hoodie from Just Hoods USA. It's going to give me that consistency I want every single time. You like that?
I do. It's really that easy?
It's not easy. All right. Well, that's it. All right, thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, leave comments down below. Let's get this type of stuff every single time, you guys. Have fun out there.